Hello everybody, this is Grandmaster Pascal Charbonneau. You can challenge me, I'm GM Pac-Man if you're a premium member. I gotta fix my scene up a little bit here. I don't know what happened with my sizing of stuff, so I'm just fixing those things real quick. And then we'll get started. I actually have accepted a challenge, but so far my opponent has not made a move yet. Hopefully I will have a slightly easier time today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I started with a couple of losses, or at least one loss and a draw, but today I'm going to really try not to lose too many games, just because, believe it or not, I don't really like to lose. So I'm almost done fixing the scene here. We're going to get started. We had some exciting chess today. Of course, obviously the game of the day was the game between Fabiano Caruana and I don't know, CT Hulu here doesn't seem to be here, so I'm going to abort this game. By the way, I am following all of our chats, so I will be able to answer questions if there's any questions about today's games. For example, I'm also accepting 5-minute and 3-minute games. I'm probably going to be doing this today for about an hour and a half, I think. And then, of course, we'll have the after show after. I'll play e4. You know, this loss for Fabiano has got to hurt a little bit. Well, it's got to hurt quite a bit, I would say. It was pretty unfortunate. I mean, and Jan and Magnus, they were all talking about this. In general, you know, what you look for in chess preparation these days, c4, by the way, is a move here that I just played, that has been played, I think, by Magnus in some games online here. Sort of a way to, just a slightly different move order to get this Maroczy bind positions. I do want to let me just pull this in another tab here. Sorry about that. Alright, I apologize. I'm back to the game here. Obviously trying to get started really quickly today. CT Hulu, I see that you're back in the chat and that you just maybe I can actually play Bishop G5 here. I see that you are back and you just stepped away. If you challenge me again, I can try to get you back in. Of course, it will be my pleasure. All right, now I think I'm happy to get these pawns doubled here. I don't think this is the best sort of classical Sicilian structure for black. Because for a few reasons. I think the pawn on c4 is actually useful. It's going to be a pretty passive position. So, pretty passive position for black here. Alright, so what to do here? I think I'll start with rook e1. If he ever castles, my rook, I can do a little rook lift over here. I can play rook e3, rook g3. I also have, you know, sometimes I may have ideas like knight d5. I mean, not right now, of course. I'm wondering if I should try to actually keep this knight on d4. I could reroute it somewhere. All right, so he plays, he castles long. That does make sense. So then I guess I'll start. Should I start with rook c1? The thing is, the rook might actually be happy to stay here. I also could start with just rook b1 maybe. So the idea is to play b4, b5. That's rook c1, you know, he's just going to play king b8, of course. And after king b8, it's not entirely clear what happens there. So, all right, he goes knight to e5. Now I'm thinking I'll just defend the c-pawn with queen e2. I'm getting ready to play, probably still b4, b5 is the right way to go here. Of course, I'd like to open up the position. I don't think it's going to be so easy for him to get counterplay. Hello, Sergey. Sergey Rachmaninoff here is asking how the situation is in New York. And the situation in New York, I would say, is pretty bad, but I am not in New York. So because I'm not in New York, it's not too much of a problem for me personally. I live in Florida these days, so. But in Florida, to answer your question, because maybe you're asking about where I am. So we don't have like a full quarantine, but kids don't have school, so I have 2 little kids. They're at home. People, are encouraged not to leave home too much. Some restaurants are still open, versus in New York. I mean, really, I think everything is either shut down or very close to shut down as it should be. So yeah. So I think here, should I play b5? It seems to make sense, but it's not necessarily so easy to crash through. The other plan I have is I could play for c5, like maybe starting with rook d1. Or I could play knight a4 first, maybe. Yeah, so I'll play b5 so that after a5 I'll play knight a4. Okay, so he took it. I'm pretty happy to see taking it. I'm going to take it with the rook. I think taking with the rook is the quickest way. I'm going to play rook b1. Sergei Rachmaninoff, where are you? Are you in Toronto? I think I remember you're in Canada. Sounded my parents, my mom, my father passed away. My mom is in Canada. Most of my family is in Canada, and Montreal is pretty much locked down. The U.S. border to Canada was shut, so let's talk a little bit more about this Fabiano game, because I think that was pretty wild. I mean, this preparation with the pawn sacrifice e5 was pretty amazing, and it's I think I'm going to talk about this in my after show in a few hours, but it's interesting that so far we've really had 2 games where the player was super well prepared. Right, there was a game Anish Giri played. Anish Giri played a game where who was his opponent? It was Nepomniachtchi with white, where he was incredibly well prepared, super deep, and then somehow he lost. And today Fabiano obviously comes up with this crazy idea, this e5, very original. Obviously not a move that is like at the top of the computer. And yeah, somehow he just somehow he actually gets a position that's really bad. So it's 2 games where that incredible preparation has basically hurt the player who was prepared. All right, so here I have some interesting ideas. I think I'm just going to play queen e3. There's obviously some other moves. Like, it was interesting to play things like knight takes e6. He has to take with the queen. Then I could either take on b7 or maybe play knight d5. But this position looks very difficult for black, because his king is in big trouble, and mine is actually very safe. So now I kind of like the idea to play knight a4. I think that knight can jump into well, obviously I'm threatening to jump into b6, but I also think it's pretty unpleasant to defend against. And my idea might be now to play rook b7. And so, all right, he resigned. Yeah, I mean, the position was getting difficult with the king open like that. Good game, Bateman. And I'm spending a lot of time talking at the beginning, so I'm going to start by accepting the 5-minute games. All right, Sergei Rachmaninoff. I try to take the high-rated challenges. Sometimes this is going to be a tough game, especially as I talk so much. Sergei 2800, I think. Where is my game? Here we go. Somehow this happened yesterday too. Let me see. I don't know what I did here, but I don't see the game starting. Let me just reload this here. Challenges. It says back to the game here. All right, here we go. That should be the game. Let me abort this one because I don't know. Something seems to not be working. What is going on with my challenges here? All right, give me a second here. Maybe we had a little bit of an issue. It's not letting me accept any challenges yet. I don't know if I did something wrong here. Don't touch my face. Yeah, it's I've been pretty much at home, not going anywhere. I've been very, very busy with this candidates tournament, obviously, and I'm doing coverage. I'm doing the after show, but I really haven't gone anywhere or touched anyone other than my immediate family. So I have not been incredibly careful with touching my face, but it is certainly best practice to not do that. So. All right, I think there's a game starting now. Hopefully this one will work. My opponent is not playing yet though, so let me just answer questions in the chat. Anand MP, let me see if I see your challenge. Oh, and my opponent played. All right, we'll play E5. Anand MP, I do see your challenge, and since you've asked, maybe you'll be next. So Anand MP will be next. And Serge, I'll definitely try. Oh wow, my opponent played F4. Wow. Well, I'm gonna take it. That's a bold move, and it looks logical to play D5, try to play in the center. All right, so he plays bishop takes F4. I'm tempted to grab this pawn on C4, but maybe bishop D6 is a better move. You know, just immediately try to get play in the dark square. I'll play bishop D6, develop instead of try to take a pawn. All right, my opponent decides to keep the bishop. Maybe now I'll take, or should I play? I guess now I'll take. He can try E4. E4 is maybe interesting here. E4. I guess I'll just go bishop E7. I've been talking so much that I play way too slowly. I may have the idea to take on E4 here. So for example, bishop takes E4, knight takes E4. Looks like it's at least a possibility. I have to watch for some queen H5 moves though. I may just castle first. Bateman says knight f6, a big error in his game. I do agree that knight f6, you shouldn't have let me double your pawns. I think the doubling of the pawns was not to your advantage. All right, so now we're going to have an interesting position. I can't say that I'm too happy with the way I played the opening, because I think I should have been able to take advantage of this a little bit better than I have. White seems to have a pleasant position here. But there's I guess I have a few ways to play against the center, and that's what I'll try to do. I might play knight c6 next, depending on what he does. I mean, I'm expecting he's going to castle, and then I play probably knight c6, and the center is strong, but also can be a little bit weak in some cases. So we'll see. Some other interesting games today. I mean, Grischuk is sort of a common refrain, right? Like he plays really well. He was better. I mean, he was at some point. I think he was close. He was probably much better in that end game at some point. He's playing technically very well, but he just runs out of time, and so he can't quite make the most out of his position, and which is too bad because he's played some solid chess. I mean, he has 1.5, so he's still completely in the pack. Very much possible that he could, he certainly could still surprise us. So, I'm actually going to fix my scene a little bit here. My board is unusually. I was having a couple of technical things. Here we go. That should be a little bit better. All right, so he played bishop e3, which is looks like a good move. He's overprotecting the pawn on d4. I kind of need to do something, right? I'll play bishop b4. I feel like that bishop could maybe be rerouted somewhere. All right, so he goes e5. Play knight to d7. My knight is coming to b6. Again, I don't think I've played this particularly well. So he goes here. Now, I guess I go knight b6. Seems like the most natural move. I have ideas like playing knight a5, maybe after taking on c3, or I just want to get rid of this bishop. Alright, he goes for the sacrifice. I sort of saw this coming and I decided it wasn't going to be a problem, but it actually is a problem, right? If I take knight g5, it's just really bad for me. So I think I got to play king h8. This is turning into a disaster. From I'm setting an example by talking a lot and not by playing very good moves. Oh man, it's kind of embarrassing to get such a bad position after my opponent played a crazy move, f4. This move, f4, and I still managed to get a completely lost position after a few moves. So of course here he's got different ways to play, and he's obviously much better. But he's got to be, so this move I kind of am happy to see. I'm going to start by taking on c3, and then I'm going to try to play, I think, knight a5, and I'll be able to at least get his bishop, and he's actually got some sort of tactical problems here. If he goes queen a3, rook f7, queen a5, knight c4, and then I can take on e3, and that seems to be good for me. I mean, he might have some ideas. So now he goes there, so he wants to play knight to g5, so that's actually quite clever. He's got knight g5 with the idea of checkmating on h7, obviously. So that's a good move. What can I do here? So he might still be actually winning here. So if I play h6, he's got moves like queen g6 that look like they're crushing. So it looks like I may have to take this knight, which I certainly did not particularly want to do. And then I'll play knight c4, and I'll just try to play on the light squares. Of course, this is still a difficult position. He's played well. You know, after f4, which was certainly not oh, actually he has just mate here, right? Queen h7. If he's listening to me, oh my goodness, terrible game for me. So he plays rook h3. There was if he could have played first. Yeah, so this is just checkmating me. So I am just completely lost. I'm going to resign here. Tough start. Oh man, I got to focus a little bit. I'm losing all my rating points in these Banter Blitz. So I'm going to play Sergei Rachmaninoff here. The game had been canceled, and I'll play Anand MP in the next one. So my opponents, though, in the last few days, my opponents have been playing well. Alright, so let's see. I think one time I played the King's Indian and I didn't particularly like what I got. I'm just going to play solidly in this opening here. Some of these guys are playing a lot better than their rating these days. Alright. So far we have a normal position here. I guess I'll play h6 just so my bishop has a square. This is a pretty normal position. Knight e5 is maybe not the most usual way to play this, sort of knight e5 right away, but there's nothing wrong with it, of course. So he's letting me play a4. I'll play it. I mean, it doesn't change all that much. Okay, so he plays e4. I think I'll start with bishop h7. I was wondering if I should first take or not, but I'll start with bishop h7. I have to watch for forks with e5. One idea is probably to play knight a6 and either knight c5 or knight b4. Alright, he takes this pawn. I don't really mind seeing that move. I wonder if I should play queen a5. Looks interesting. Or take on e4 first. Or just something like knight a6 like I was going to play before. So a lot of options here. The pawn doesn't really matter. I mean, that pawn is going to fall. So it's just a matter of what the right way to develop my pieces. Difficult decision, actually. I'll just play knight a6. Seems like when in doubt, just develop the last piece. So if he ever tries to go for some kind of knight sack and play e5, then I have this knight b4 at some point, and I think I'll be doing pretty well there. And otherwise, I probably want to play knight c5 and try to take on a4 or on e4 at some point. So here I'll play knight c5. I think my position's I kind of like my position here, but we'll see. I have liked my positions before, and they haven't necessarily worked out so great. All right, so he goes there. Now, do I want to maybe play a move like... So now he wants to take potentially on d5, and my knight on c5 hangs. So which makes it look like I probably want to take on e4, so that's what I'll do. And then I may just, so he's got to take, at some point he's going to have to take with a pawn. And then I may play queen a5. All right, so he takes this way. I think I want to keep my knight on c5 rather than my knight on f6. Although that's also a reasonable question. Tricky decision. Actually, I'll take with the other one. I really don't know which one was better. And now, I was thinking queen a5, but he does have maybe c5 there. Although c5 just bishop e7. Yeah, I'll play queen a5. So I'm attacking the knight. And at some point I want to win my pawn back and have a better pawn structure. That's the idea anyway. But of course it's still a kind of an unclear position. It's complicated. So c5. I think I'll play bishop c7 to keep some pressure against the knight. So I may want to play rook to d8, rook f to d8 next. He can play knight c4, then I take on a4, and I thought, if he wants to go after this knight on f6, double my pawns after a queen trade, it's not a big deal. So, interesting position. So here I was going to play rook to d8. I'll just play it. We'll see what happens. I've just been playing so slowly. So I'm attacking his bishop, and his knight, sometimes is hanging. And if he moves his bishop to c3, then I was thinking I just take on c5, and I'm threatening the bishop. I'm threatening the knight on e5. So, okay, this move, rook d4, looks like it might be a blunder. I can take on d4, play bishop takes e5, and now that looks like it's going to win a piece. All right, so now it should be just a matter of technique here. I guess I'll play e5 to start. I got to make sure I don't get myself checkmated on the back rank. So now, if I don't win this one up a piece, it's not impressive, I got to say. I guess I'll play rook a7 to start, just defend the pawn. My next move is probably bishop g6 just to get out of dodge here. On this move, okay, so I'll just play queen c7, defend that pawn. Now e4 can be hanging in some cases. So it's just a matter of consolidating now. Play bishop g6 just to get out of that thing. All right, we'll play, I guess, knight d7, put pressure on c5. I may want to play f6, bishop f7 at some point. Okay, so he goes here. So he's threatening to take on, I guess I'll play f6. I already feel like I'm drifting a little bit here, which is sort of pathetic. Up a piece for nothing, but I feel like I'm not making the best moves. I'll probably reroute my knight to f8, play bishop f7. I mean, I guess I've probably still played more or less okay here. a5, I don't think it threatens anything. All right, sneaky little move here. Rook there. I'll just play knight f8, get my knight out of dodge. I guess he's going to play queen b4. He's a tough guy to finish, right? He just hangs around. I guess queen e7 makes sense. I'm probably going to play knight e6 next. Try to force that trade of minor piece. Now that should help me because now his king has no defender, so I'll be able to play. All right, so he goes here. He is a tricky guy. I have to make sure I don't run out of time too. Alright, so I think I got to take with the pawn here like this. Then I'll play something like I guess no, I can't start with a5. I'll start with king h7. Got to get my king out of there. I'll probably play bishop. I got him bishop h3. I don't love that he's got some g4 ideas. I mean, this is still, of course, winning up a piece, but somehow I'm making it hard for myself. I'll go bishop h3 now. I got to start moving a little bit faster too. Now I may have ideas like rook b7. Well, that was my idea anyway. We'll see what it does. I'll get my rook to b2. Hopefully this is a decent plan, but it's actually probably not. Now I have ideas with rook g2. I mean, I'm obviously not, I'm certainly not doing, now I actually may have a win with rook f2. It's a little bit annoying. How does he defend against rook f1? So he's going to sacrifice, but this should be fairly simple to win. I have some checks. I'm going to win that pawn. So that should be easy. This position is not going to be a fortress. Of course, I don't have tons of time, but I should have enough. All right, let's see. Oh, well, probably not done in the most accurate way ever, but somehow my technique leaves something to be desired. But good game, Sergey. I was up a piece for a while and still made it a little hard. So you're a tough cookie. All right, so I said I would accept a challenge. Where is this guy? It was Suri. Where is this challenge? Oh, there was a non-MP. I said I would accept. So here we go. I'm going to accept that. Thank you, guys. That was not as easy as pie, I would say, but somehow did it. We'll play the Sicilian. He goes bishop b5. All right, I'll go knight d7. Sergey is really fast, so yeah, he is fast. This line, I haven't looked at this in a very, very long time. So they can either take on d7 here, or they can move somewhere else. Yeah, so if you want to challenge me, there's a few different ways, but you can either search for my name and click on the challenge button. My handle, as you can see, is or nickname is GM Pascal. All right, so he played bishop c4. I guess I'll play e6 here. So I had to watch for some bishop takes f7 things in some positions. So with the queen on d4, it's a little bit of a different setup. I mean, than regular Sicilians where the knight comes to d4. They'll often try to play for a quick e5 or a bishop f4. So, all right, I think I got to be a little careful here. I think knight f6 is okay. All right, rook e1. I don't mind rook e1. I don't mind if he plays for e5. I think my position is solid there. I was a little bit more worried about like some bishop f4 things, but they look okay there too. I could play either queen b6 or just maybe start with b5 and then play like either knight c5 or e5. Now I'm castling, so once I complete development and have a normal Sicilian position and I'm not getting checkmated right away, I'm sort of confident in my ability to play this position well. I'm going to get my bishop to b7. The black line, so what is the black line again? I do take opening requests and I'll play pretty much any opening that anybody wants me to play. So as long as I know what it is, that doesn't mean I have to know how to play it well, just that I literally know what the opening is. I think here e5 is good. The queen is a little awkward. There were certainly some other moves, but and he doesn't have an easy way to get the knight to d5, so that's why I like to play e5. Queen d3 looks like the move here, and then I'll probably play rook c8 to stop him from playing c. Okay, so if he goes queen c3, well, that pawn is actually hanging on e4, which looks like I should take it. I'll take it. Oh, f3, e5, g4. Is that really it? Oh, e4, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, knight d7. Yeah, that I can definitely play. Sure, I'll try that. I can play that. That's what the black line is called. I didn't actually know that. On our YouTube chat, it's a long discussion about coronavirus. I'm going to try to stick mostly to chess here. I know people have said that I'm touching my face too much. They're definitely right about that. Serge was saying you might have had an edge. Yeah, maybe you probably had an edge. I agree with that. All right, now I think I'm happy to double his pawns, right? Looks hard to resist doubling the pawns. And then I was going to play d5. I mean, maybe I should, but maybe I should. I don't know if I should have actually doubled these pawns. Maybe that was too hasty. Now d5 makes sense. But maybe it was better to just keep my bishop. Yeah, Suki Ray is saying there's not much to do. It's true, there's not much to do other than chess these days. So it's a good time to stay home, and it's a good time to play chess. Have fun. We've got so much stuff going on right now. I'm going to try to trade this bishop. It looks like that makes sense. He can try maybe f4 is a sort of a way to try to be more of a fighting move. All right, f4, he finds it. So, what is the best way here? I was thinking maybe knight c5. We'll try that. He can play. Oh, he has queen f5 here actually. Maybe that was silly. Trying to make a sound positional move, but might not have been tactically that great. All right, so now I'm taking on f4. I thought this was maybe the best way to play, but I'm not sure. But I think my knight is going to be good. I'm hoping to get my knight on f4 once that position happens. He's playing well though for 1700. He's fighting. He's got a fighting chance. Well, Bateman47 is saying there's a rest day tomorrow. Yes, there is a rest day tomorrow, but it's not a rest day for us at Chess24. There's going to be Banter Blitz almost all day. So we have Ali Reza playing tomorrow. I'm forgetting the schedule. I think he's at 6 o'clock Central European time, I believe. But I could have that wrong. If you just look at our schedule, you'll see it. We have Jan Gustafsson playing. I'm pretty positive Sam Shanklin, 2700 player from the US, is going to be playing as well. So you're going to have pretty much a full day of chess on Chess 24 tomorrow. Lafong is playing tonight. I forget what time. Not really tonight. I think he's like something like 5:30 maybe. 5:30 Eastern time. So in this position, I have this idea of potentially playing D3. Yeah, so he went King H1. I have this maybe. I mean, D3 seems to make sense. It pushes my pawn forward. He can't take it in with either. All right, so he goes Rook F5, but Rook F5 I can, I think, just take on B2. My king is very safe, and now I'm starting to eat a couple pawns. So it doesn't look good for white here, but good game, Anand MP. All right, let's move on. So we have I'm getting a lot of challenges. I like it. A lot of challenges. All right, we have a 2600 here. Orest Vovk. We'll give this one a shot. Let's play knight f3. I'm going to try to play. Okay, he plays h6. That's great. I like that kind of move. I like someone that wants to go for something unusual. I'm just going to develop my pieces in the simplest way possible, and hopefully I can punish this opening. But you know, sometimes it actually looks crazier than it is, and then you get a position that's fairly normal. So we'll see. All right, c5. Well, c5, I think I got to take it. And so now I guess I'll just play c3. I'll sort of play it the safer way. Bishop e3. Hopefully I can play against these dark squares. So this move, I'll just, on queen c6, I'll play knight d2, just defend my pawn. Knight a6. All right, so I think I'll start with h4. Seems to make sense. I'm attacking. My goal is that if he pushes g4, I have knight d4, and then the g4 pawn hangs in some of those variations. And if he takes, well, I think taking is always going to be a bit of a concession. All right, so he goes knight to d4, knight c5. I'll just play bishop c2 because he has these knight d3 checks ideas, and it looks like I've retreated, but I'm starting to have knight d4 threats, and he's still pretty undeveloped. So, but you know, he's played interestingly so far, some original moves. Yeah, Funbeat is saying you thought I was going to start later. I've been starting. The goal is sort of to start after the games end, so that we have continuation of coverage. So that's why the time is a little bit flexible, and I'm just trying to keep you guys entertained, you know, after the games end, so that you don't find yourselves with nothing to do, because that would be sad, right? So that's the idea. Yeah, b takes a4 was an interesting move, Sergey. Someone in the YouTube chat is saying that Sam Shanklin rattles off lines. Yeah, he's a very, very quick calculator for sure, and a very strong player. So, all right. So now my opponent decided that he has to sacrifice a pawn. I'll happily take it. Like somebody said, my name is GM Pac-Man, so that implies that I'm happy to take material. Although I'm probably more someone who sacrifices than someone who takes. But you know, depends on the position. So now I'm probably threatening knight f7, king f7, queen h5, knight g6, e5. All right, he goes there. I'll just go queen h5. It's a good square. Another potential, well, not potential, but another threat is, I think, queen h7. Threatening the pawn on f7 would be difficult to defend. This looks like a really bad position for black, frankly. I think just, you know, it was because it's not easy for him to develop his pieces. If he plays bishop f6, I can take on f7 and play e5. Actually, maybe I don't do that because he has got queen g2 there. maybe I don't even do that then. Maybe I would just play Queen h7 actually is still very strong there, because if he parts with his bishop, I go bishop. So for example, bishop f6, queen h7, bishop g5, bishop g5. I'm threatening queen g8. Pretty bad position there. Funbeat is asking about playing in tournament chess. Yeah, I'll probably play in tournament chess. I've been playing a lot of Blitz. I think I actually play fairly well in Blitz, but I'm struggling in these Banter Blitzes the last few days. I've hardly been sleeping, so it's a bit and I've just been like all day on the computer, so it's been a little rough. But I do intend. I said I was going to play Queen h7. I think I'll stick to that. I like the immediate threat. All right, so he goes here, bishop g5. I will most likely play in some tournaments soon. I do have 2 little kids though, so it sort of limits my my playing time. All right, so e5. What does he want with that? I'm thinking of playing. So I think I'm going to just kind of try to play forcefully here. Queen g8. He goes here. Actually, I should probably have started. Should have started with another move than queen g8, because now he's coming to g6 and he'll be able to trade queens. I mean, of course, it's going to be a good endgame for me, but I probably should just not have let that happen anyway. Now he's got queen g6. We'll trade queens, and I'll just have a very nice endgame. But I don't know why I had to go into an endgame. Yeah, Funbeat. I spent over 10 years not playing chess at all, working in finance, and then I decided that it was time to do something else, and so I am here. Wonder if I should play maybe rook h1, intending knight takes e5. My first intention was just to play knight d6 check, of course. There's also the move bishop f6 is not a bad little move, just threatening the pawn on e5 and in some cases weaving a little bit of a mating net. I wouldn't call it a retirement because I'm working actually quite hard, but it's a little bit less high pressure than trading at a hedge fund, what I'm doing now. So, all right, so I'll just grab pawns, right? That's what seems to be doing me. That's what seems to be doing me well. I guess he's gonna finally castle, right? I forgot. Did he move his king? I don't think so, right? I can't claim illegal castling. All right, so he did castle. I think I'll play. I don't want to let him. Maybe I'll play b4. Seems like a good move. I don't want to let him get to d3, so I'd rather play b4 before I move my rook so that he doesn't. Oh, so he has this move. Well, I didn't see that, but I don't know. I don't know that it's going to change too much. Hopefully not. All right, so I'll take. So obviously he wants to play rook d8. And so now, what's the right way? So if I play f4, he goes f6, and I'll be up 2 pawns, and that should be. Actually, I have some tricks also. I can play on f4, f6. I can play bishop f5. So I'm threatening the d7 pawn here, and then when he moves his bishop here, now I can just take on f6. Take on f6. He goes. I'm just wondering whether rook d5 is more accurate. If I take on f6, he goes. Sorry, I can't speak today. He goes rook f8. I go rook d6. King c7, bishop e5, and that seems to be just winning, so I guess that's what I'll go for. So king c7, bishop e5, rook f5, rook f6, and that just wins. Rook d5 was possible too, bishop c6. Alright, so this should be just winning. Sleepy Mario in the Twitch chat is asking if I would play the Grob and suffer. Sure, I'll play the Grob. I can play the Grob in my next white game. That is no sweat. Maybe I'll play the Grob and not suffer. That's the ultimate goal. What are my candidates' feelings after 3 rounds? Well, you're definitely going to hear a lot more about that in my after show in a couple of hours. But so far, you know, I think it's kind of amazing what happened today, because, you know, you went from having a tournament that seemed to be completely over for Dingley Ren to a tournament where he's actually got, you know, a chance. So even though he's only got 1 out of 3, but, you know, at this point it's kind of a wide open field. The players with 2 out of 3 are not necessarily the ones that you would have expected. You know, you have Nepomniachtchi, who's actually played really well. He had a very big, like his win in round 1, Nepomniachtchi's win in round 1 should not be understated. Like, that was a big win, because he fell into this deep preparation and still won. A little bit like Dingley Ren's win today has got won. So anybody's tournament. I think it's a little bit. I would say the odds are a little bit less in Fabiano's favor. I'm reporting this game just because my opponent has not made a move yet. I'll play CT Hulu, who challenged me really early and then was away from the board. Maybe he's here now. So sorry, some people are saying there's some buffering on their end. I don't know. I don't know what is going on. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not my connection, which has been really good. Although a lot of times. All right. So what did I say? Oh, I was supposed to play the Black Lion thing. I didn't do that. I'll play another weird one. Bishop D7. I used to play that many years ago. Bishop C4 is definitely a move. Now I can either play Bishop Knight C6, or I can play G6. I'll just kind of play in the dragon. And I got to remember next game that I'm white, I'm supposed to play G4. I keep forgetting these opening requests. I don't mean to forget, I just do. Alright, so now we have a mainline dragon. Let's see. This guy probably knows a lot of theory. We'll see. I'll play Rook B8, sort of the Chinese dragon. Alright, so now B5 or Knight A5 first? I guess I play B5 first. Then the idea is to play Knight A5 or B4, depending on the situation. They call this the Chinese dragon. Again, this is something I played sort of years and years ago. Normal lines, of course, with Rook C8, Knight E5, Knight C4, which I also played years ago. So there's a lot of different plans here. Some plans involve trying to trade the bishop on H6. Some plans involve playing Knight to D5 and more sort of a positional play. Some plans involve actually getting the king from C1 to B1 and even to A1 sometimes, just because Black's plan in this type of dragon is to play Knight A5 and then either take on B3 or play Knight C4. So it's a little bit here, but that's what I remember. This H4, H5 line is one of the most dangerous ones for Black, but if I recall, it's okay. Now, do I take on D5 first or on B3 first? And does it make a difference? I think I take on B3 first, but I'm not totally sure. Let's see what happens. So, in a lot of these positions, what I'm going to try to do is play Queen A5. So here, he takes, and then I'll move my queen to A5, which allows me to play Rook C8 check, or I mean, of course, I want to take on A2, but it allows me to sort of play Rook C8 and keep my dark squared bishop, because if he can play Bishop H6, trade that bishop, he might just checkmate me, right? So that is important. So now, do I have time to take the pawn on D5? Probably not. I'm leaning towards just playing Rook C8. It's actually kind of tempting because I don't know. Yeah, it might be okay to take it. I'll try taking it. So he takes on g6. I can actually take with sort of either pawn, and then I have ideas like taking on d4 and either sacrificing the exchange or I may be able to get some mate threats. Sometimes, all right. So he goes here first. So now, like for example. I'm just trying to focus for a second. Not totally clear. I don't know exactly what I do here. I don't think he's gonna mate me. So I could start with either bishop f5 or some of these positions you can actually play e5, and then there's also like some kind of bishop takes d4 ideas, but the bishop takes d4 ones don't seem to work. He takes on f8, and then I don't know if I have enough for the exchange there. Probably not. But it's interesting to maybe take on h6. I'm again taking way too long. I think I can maybe take on h6 and play g5. We'll see what that does. At least this way the h file doesn't get open. It's a little suspicious, I must say, but it might be okay. These dragon lines are obviously very risky, so you kind of play it and pinch your nose, hope you're okay. If I get to play f6, then I'm probably really safe. f6, rook f7, I can even kind of trap this queen. So, and this is a common theme in the dragon, to try to get that queen offside. But he's got a lot of moves here, and so, but I don't think I'll get checkmated, because even if he could like take the pawn, you know, I mean, hopefully not just right away, because he would also take e7. But if I can play king h8, rook g8, it's already not going to be mate. And losing that d5 pawn is kind of important also. So all right, so now he's I don't know if he wants to play something like I'm just going to play f6 because I think that patches up a lot of things. Knight f5 I take with check, so that's not good. And now my queen is free to move, so on the knight moves I can move my queen. I might play queen f7, queen g7, but frankly, if I can get that queen stuck there, maybe I just leave it there. But I think I'll play queen f7 just because it's just hard to tolerate like having the queen on d5. Looks like it's going to get in trouble at any point. So now I do like it for me though, because I don't think he's got any real attack, and I actually have two center pawns. I'm up a pawn. I may have the idea to play like e5 and d5 at some point. All right, so he makes this move, which is very logical. He tries to get some counterplay. That being said, you know, can I get away with, say, taking on f4 and then playing e5? I mean, that's sort of the if I take on f4, he probably plays. And I also wonder if I can just take on g4. That one actually looks pretty reasonable. He's got some knight c6 ideas, but I don't know how much that does. And then maybe I can either take on h5 or play queen g7 somewhere. Just the time is running short as always. All right, I'll do it. Bishop g4, threatening the rook. Still could get messy here. What is he going to do? Yeah, someone is saying here, Dingley Ren is back in the candidates. Absolutely, he's certainly back. He's got, he's got a reasonable shot. I mean, it's just we're just 3 games in, so all right, interesting move. I was considering that idea, f takes g5. So now it's interesting. I mean, I think the simplest way for me to play, which is what I'll do now because I'm running out of time, is to play queen takes h5. This way I think I'm forcing a queen trade, and I don't think there's any real trick here. So he went rook e7. Now I think I'm safely taking the rook. I mean, if I'm missing something, then I'm missing something, which does happen quite a bit. But I think that's just a rook. My bishop will come back to h5, and from there everything should be nicely patched up. I guess I'll play rook g8. I have to make sure not to have a knight land on an f7 mate. So I'm playing my bishop on h5, and this should be wrapped up here. I guess I'll play rook g2. Seems to make sense to kind of imprison the king here. Good game. CT Hulu always gives good games. He's a good player. So, all right. Moving on. Let's see here. Someone who's been challenging me for quite a while. Sorry, I scrolled out of my screen here. Going through all the challenges. All right, so I'm playing VS85. All right, the Grob. I said I would play the Grob. The Grob it is. Here we go. So on e5, I think we play bishop g2. I'm not really a Grob specialist, so okay, he plays h5. I am out of book. I think I gotta take it. And then if he takes it, I'll play. I guess I'll play. Tempted to play d4. The Grob is a strange opening. Can't say I love it so far. What is the right way to do this? d4 doesn't actually look that impressive, but I'll play it because I think pawn takes. I'll play knight f3. I think you got to stick with quick development in this, otherwise I'm just going to have a bad structure. So got to keep the position open. So pawn takes. I don't want to play queen takes because then knight c6. I'm wasting time. So I was considering either e4 because the rook is attacked back there, which actually is possible. Actually, maybe I will play e4 just to get my pawn through, and then yeah. So I'll play e4. I'm trying to channel my inner Ali Reza. Ali Reza seems to be able to play all these strange openings and get good positions out of them. I'm definitely not there. But we'll try. So knight f6, yeah, the knight f6 makes sense. I was going to play something like just knight e2 here, develop my knight. I may want to take on d4 with a knight. I also may want to play something like knight g3 or something like that. I was also considering like gambiting with c3. Alright, so he goes there. I don't love taking on d4 because he can take and then get a nice square on c5 for his bishop. I think I'm just going to play in the gambit style here. Probably not enough compensation, of course, but all right, bishop b4. So does he really want to give me that bishop? I'd be happy to get that bishop. I'll play knight g3 because I think the knight, especially with the bishop having deserted the king side, maybe f5 can be an appealing square. His rook on h5 was actually quite a good square. So now he's got to move somewhere. I mean, if he goes to h8, at least he won't be able to castle kingside. So that's something that's a little bit of a benefit of my position. I might castle kingside, I don't know. And then I have ideas like knight d5. Okay, so he goes to h4. From h4, well, it invites playing bishop g5, which I think I have to do it. It's just too tempting. So he's wasting a little bit of time here. I can't imagine that was the best move. And so next I think I'm going to castle, and then he's got to deal with that pin, and the pin must be is pretty difficult. So rook h7 makes sense. Yeah, so I'm castling just mostly to unpin my knight, and all right. So now I can play knight d5 if I want, which looks good. The bishop is under attack. Well, not that it's probably some kind of threat, and I potentially could double his pawns on f6. All right. So now bishop g4. Tricky move. Sort of assumed that it would lose a piece. I think it does. So if I play bishop f6, he takes on d1, I take on d8, and that should win a piece. The bishop. So I've taken a piece, right? He takes queen, I take queen, so I'm up a piece, and they're both under attack, and I don't think there's any kind of shenanigans there. He can't attack anything with the bishop. So bishop g4 didn't work, and now this position is really bad. I can play queen g8 takes f7. I guess that's probably best. I'm trying to see. He escapes with his king a little bit. Just trying to see if I have something more incisive here. Actually, I have a nice little trick on king d7. I can play bishop h3, and then when he takes on h3, I can play queen g4 and take the rook. So I think that's probably best. Well, who knows if it's best, but it's good anyway. All right, good game, VS 85. All right, I have a challenge here from Bogdan Girmasea, 2500, a 5-minute game. That sounds good. So yeah, anybody got any questions about? All right, so I was supposed to play. Let me see if I can get to that black lion opening that someone was. Nope. I guess no black lion because he played c4. No black lion. I'll play some hybrid of the black lion. I was trying to play it because someone asked for it. So this is going to be more like I guess you call this an old Indian. Actually, I'll play with g6. This is not. Again, this is more a blitz setup than a extremely good opening for black, but sort of a funky way to play the King's Indian. So in the idea of this setup, by the way, and he's already played a good move here, but the idea of this setup is to play h5, which is probably not right, but you know, again, for a blitz game. I may be able to play bishop h6 and trade that bishop at some point. But the idea of this setup is if white is not careful, you can get into a position where, you know, in the classical lines, black plays knight f6 and knight c6, and then those knights come to d7 and e7 when white pushes their pawn, while here you've played knight e7 and knight d7 in one move. So in theory, in the perfect scenario, you can actually be up 2 tempos. Of course, it doesn't usually work out that way, and here he played well, and so it's not happening. So now I got to decide what setup to go for. I decided to castle. We'll see. I mean, this could be actually this can actually be fairly dangerous for me. So let's see. No, I think I gotta take, at some point I gotta take on d4. Otherwise I'm gonna get rolled. Okay, so he takes with the bishop, which I'm kind of happy to see. And I think I'll play knight c6. I'm sort of happy to see that bishop trade. And now my plan might be to play something like knight c5, bishop g4 if I can. I mean, it's probably a normal position. It's about equal, I think. But equal here is probably a good outcome for black. He can play something like knight d5 maybe, to try to annoy me with some queen c3 checks. Okay, so he goes here. He goes bishop e2, so still might be better for white, this position. After bishop e2, I decided to play rook e8 to put pressure on the e-pawn. Seems to make sense. And so I may want to play knight c5 next and try to attack that pawn. So all right, so he goes for it. I was wondering whether he would try to do something like that. That's an aggressive move. I guess on hg he wants to play. I guess he wants to play h5. Certainly possible, but so. Well, I gotta take it, I think, because otherwise I'm just gonna suffer. So I'm taking it. Okay, so he goes knight g5. All right, so now I was thinking I'd play knight f6. Seems to make sense. He's got some compensation here, there's no doubt. The question is how good it is. I mean, it's definitely something. But I think, so my next move is possibly rook h8. I'm trying to bring forces to defend. I want to play knight e5 also. So I don't know. I mean, h5 was interesting right away too. I think I'll be able to survive this. Maybe I'm optimistic, but I think I can survive this. The e5 square is actually going to be a good square because he can't easily chase the knight away with f4. Okay, so he plays f4 himself. All right, I think I got to take that. I'll take that. I want to have that e5 square for my knight. All right, so now I think I'll play knight e5. Again, try to bring as many pieces as possible to the defense here. I'll play rook h8. I may want to play bishop g4 at some point to trade one set of pieces. So now he clearly wants to play h5. So that's why I'm wondering if I should play bishop g4. I think it's probably not a bad idea in general to try to trade pieces here, right? Although it's still sometimes it's about the pieces that remain, and still feels dangerous for me because f7 is a weak spot in my position. Now, which knight to take with? I think I'll take with the f knight. I just like that knight on e5. It protects f7. And h5 now I would just take it probably with the rook, try to trade more pieces. So maybe I'm okay here. This actually seems like it's worked out not too badly. On knight d5, I may want to play c6 just to, well, so he played knight d5 now, which makes, of course, sense. But now, you know, it doesn't look like he's about to kill me with anything here. Still a question of how to kind of consolidate. So when the knight comes to e3, I'm going to have to snap it off. Then I wonder, I mean, I could take on c4, but that seems like a little too much. So what I'm trying to find like an actual useful move, and I'm not really seeing one. No, I think I gotta play c6. It feels like a waste of time in a way, but I don't know what else to do. So if he goes knight f4, he's threatening knight e6. All right, so this knight I gotta take it, and then I guess I'll just play something like. So he wants to maybe play h5. I guess maybe I'll go rook h5. I'm gonna run out of time too in this game, so now my goal is to play queen e7, rook h8. All right, so I'll start with queen e7. Gotta make sure I don't get myself tricked here. If he puts the queen on a long diagonal, I gotta watch for rook f7. I would probably play maybe f6. All right, I'm getting my rook here. And now it's going to be about trying to trade pieces. Now I'm threatening rook takes g5. Okay, so he let me take on g5. I'm pretty sure that's just a blunder. Alright, he goes there. Well, now my knight on e5 should be solidly anchored. Maybe I could have played some other move like rook g2. So, alright, good game, Bogdan. Not so easy. Not so easy for me, to say the least. All right, I'm trying to accept, you know, people that I haven't seen before. Maybe a new premium member here. Representativo Ajedrez, a Spanish-sounding name. And I may have to play against Adam with lots of A's and M's because he beat me yesterday, so I may try to get my revenge there. Yeah, Nepo is someone said Nepo is very aggressive in the press conference. I don't know if I would call it aggressive, but he's definitely he gives an aura of confidence. Like today when he was speaking with Alexeyenko, it sounded like he was almost giving him a lesson in the postmortem, like just in terms of how confident he was. Which, okay, the game was not actually all that clear. So, but sometimes that's just someone's style, and maybe he thinks that gives him some kind of psychological edge, who knows. I'll play queen c7. So we have sort of a reverse Catalan here, where of course by virtue of being white, he's kind of up a tempo. All right, I'll take on d4. I don't want to end up in a situation where I get pinned. All right, so he takes. I think I can play e5 here. That looks fairly logical. He goes knight there. Actually, you have to be a little careful. He wants to play, I'm guessing he wants to play bishop a3. Yeah, so maybe I didn't play this so accurately. I got to play queen d7 because otherwise he's got knight forks. Although I think this is probably okay for me still. He can play knight d6, but that's not the end of the world. I mean, maybe this is a good position for him, I don't know. But it doesn't seem disastrous for me. I guess I'll play knight c6. This way my queen is not forced to stop these the knight trapping my rook. Okay, so he goes knight d6. Reasonable. Can I play bishop f8 here? I think I can. Looks reasonable. I mean, if he takes on c8, then I take on a3, and the knight, of course, you don't want to get stuck with the knight on c8. So he's probably going to play something like c5. And then b6 looks interesting. A little risky, though, right? Because maybe he's got some kind of bishop b5. I don't know. B6 is probably too much. Yeah, B6 is too much. I'll just play Queen C7. Want to move my bishop to E6. Oh, I forgot this is actually a 3-minute game, so I gotta speed it up a little bit. All right, so he plays B4. I'll play A6. Now I think this position is actually reasonably good for me. Play with D4 here. Maybe I could have taken on B4 actually, right? That was my first intention. Okay, so he goes here. Now I think D3 is going to be good with knight B4 takes D3. So I think I've managed to turn my position into a good one. He's probably not a real 1500. I imagine that's because he's not played any rated games yet. So, all right, I take the bishop. Next, I'll probably take on C5. All right, good game. All right, I got a challenge. I'm going to try to take my revenge here against this guy with all of the A's in his name. Where is he? A-A-A-D-E-E. Adam spelled the long way. All right, so I'll play E4 today. I forget what I did yesterday. Hopefully Adam is here. He's taking a second here to make a move. Oh, here we go. He played C5. All right, I'll play A3. You guys remember this move? There was a book about this move a while ago. The idea is to play B4. Sort of silly, but you know, we're here to have fun. Sort of a delayed wing gambit. All right, now I think I play D4. My bishop will come to A3. D5 is, well, so he plays knight F6. So knight F6, I think I can play E5, and I'll start grabbing some space here. So he goes here. Now, I can play probably C3, or maybe C4, followed by bishop A3. I guess I'll play C4. So I have a lot of space, and I'll be able to develop my pieces very quickly. So it might be a slightly, I think this is going to be a slightly unpleasant position for black to play. But let's see. Yesterday, Adam, I thought had a bad opening, but then played really well. And so, all right, I'll play knight C3. He's got to be careful if he plays something like D6. I think he runs into some trouble. And then, should I play with F4? Okay, so he plays B6, sort of normal. Should I play with F4, or should I just play... There's also knight E4 is an interesting move, with some threats like knight D6. It actually looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna try that. These blitz games are meant to be fun, right? So I'm really trying to play fun chess. So bishop D7, knight D6, bishop takes, pawn takes. I'm attacking both knights, so he seems to have to play knight A6. And then I just figured that after knight A6, those knights are really bad. But you know, it's still complicated. I'm not totally sure. I mean, that's probably what he's got to do, though. I just thought the knight on A6 would be a really bad piece. Okay, so he goes here. Now, what is the right way to play this position? Should I go queen G4? No, I can't go queen G4 because he's always got this check. Probably got to develop, right? Got to develop my pieces. All right, so he goes here. Now, I think I go knight d6 and see what that position ends up looking like. Still unclear because my pawns are actually pretty weak. So maybe he's going to get me again, this guy. He's a tough player. Of course, my unorthodox opening maybe was not. Alright, so he's going after this pawn. I think I got to play something like c5 to keep it, because I don't want to give my d6 pawn. And so now, I think I've got chances though, because his king is going to be really... Alright, so I'll play rook c1 first, defend this one, and then I'm protecting against like knight c2 stuff. And then maybe I can play queen d4, and then bishop b2. That's what I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. At some point it would be nice for me to castle, I guess. Queen a7. This guy's playing really well. So here I was figuring I would play bishop b2, but does it really do anything after f6 is the question. Well, I think I gotta try it. Bishop b2, he goes f6, I'll go queen g4. He'll take on c5 somehow, and then I'll castle, because he's got some knight d3 threats otherwise. And who knows? It's probably not good for me, actually. This guy is just he's just tough. Doesn't give me a lot of chances. From my dubious sacrifices are not working against him. Okay, h5. Interesting move. I think I'll play queen g6. Then he starts to play fast too. What if I play bishop d4 here? I want to take his queen. Alright, so I'm winning in exchange. Maybe no, I shouldn't take this. I'll take this and then take on h5. Probably best. And I'll try knight h4 with the idea to go knight g6 in some cases. What is going on in this position? I have no clue. I think... Okay, so this move, I'll play rook d1, threaten queen h8, queen takes a8. You know, just create threats. We don't have a whole lot of time, but this seems tough for him to hold. Oh, man. So I can play... Wow, this is tough. Play bishop f3. This is like, I don't have any time. Wow. He's played well. He just manages to hold everything, this guy. Unbelievable. I don't know what the evaluation, he's definitely okay here. I'm just trying to make the best of it. It's actually just a complicated, just a complicated position even here. Maybe I'm winning, I don't know. Now I might be, or not, I really don't know. Actually, I should have played, that was I made a dumb move there. Maybe I can actually play, I should have played rook d1 was the right move. Alright, now I get to play it. This move. This guy just holds, he always holds everything. He is just too strong. Rook d6. I mean, I think, I keep thinking I'm winning, and then he finds an incredible move. Really just a tough opponent. I may win after all, but I don't know. Queen f3. I have queen f7. Yes. Whew. This guy is just a tough guy. Good game, Adam. All right. Really, that was a really interesting game. Actually, I'm curious to see what we all missed. We did miss some stuff, I'm sure. All right, we're gonna play here. Syrian 77. Yeah, that was a crazy game. Well played. All right, d4 knight f6. I'm gonna go for something a little more classical here. I've been too original. I'm giving myself headaches. We'll play with g3. So g3 is sort of a very classical setup here. I'll play with knight e2. Okay, h3. These Benoni positions are obviously interesting. Or he goes here. Let's see what does he want to do on. On bishop f4, he may have b5. I'll just play a4 first. That does give him the b4 square, but that's okay. All right, I'll play bishop f4. I'll probably play g4 at some point. Bishop f4 is more just to distract him for a second. Maybe I'll first play queen d2. All right, so he goes here. This I'll probably play rook e1 first. Just I like to have my rook against the queen. He has this idea of playing, of course. Okay, so there I go bishop e3, I guess. He could try to play f5, but that's always sort of a double-edged. I don't think here is very good. But he can try to play some kind of c4, which gives me the d4 square. So it's like the d4 versus trying to get the knight from b4 to d3. All right, so he does play f5. I'm kind of happy to see it, to be honest, because it makes my play very clear-cut. He can't take with the bishop because of g4, so he's got to take with the pawn. And then, you know, it's one of these positional things where I think it's actually not so great for him. There's a weak square on e6. I'll start with just queen d2. Probably want to play knight f4 next, but I could also you know, consider other moves. Like there's ideas like knight b5 can be a little bit annoying, threatening the a7 pawn, and you know, at various points I can try to do something on the e file. If he moves his knight away, then I'll play knight f4 to come to e6. So I think white is better here. All right, so this move looks normal enough. So what do I do now? So if I play knight f4, I think I'll play knight f4. I wonder if I should have, maybe bishop f3 was an interesting move, but too late. Too late for second thoughts. So knight takes, bishop takes, queen f8. Looks like the normal continuation here. And then I may try to play knight b5 because I think it's a little irritating. Oh, he goes queen f6, maybe a good move because he's got the b2 pawn in the back there. Yeah, so here I actually think his position has improved a little bit where it looks more equal to me than it did a couple moves ago. So what should I do now? I might just trade a bunch of rooks. I can't trade this one because he's got knight d3. maybe I'll just start with rook b1 to play knight b5. He can play a6. His position is definitely okay now. I didn't play this very well. Maybe I should have tried, maybe I got a plan like knight d1. Okay, so he goes here. That actually invites knight b5. I'll play knight b5. I'm not going to take too long, but now I want to take on d6. If he plays bishop b5, I think I can probably take on b4. But so maybe and I don't know if he can try knight to d3 here. Knight d3, I take on d6, knight f4, knight e8. That looks good for me, if I'm not missing anything. So maybe, alright, so this takes. Now d6 hangs in the back, so I think now I should be pretty happy. I was assuming I would take this with the queen. I guess I will. So he can take rook e2. Okay, so he goes and keeps the queens. Logical, since he just lost a pawn, so now he wants to play rook e2. But I think I can play a simple move like bishop f3, which is not a purely defensive move. It's actually, the bishop can come to potentially an aggressive square like h5 in some cases, and or it might be hanging a piece. Whoops. So now I might have a problem. Huh. I just hung a piece, right? Well, that makes it a little bit more tricky. It's not a good piece to lose, really. Alright, what can I do with this? I'm wondering if my best shot is actually to give a rook, but no, probably not. So I guess I gotta play rook f1, queen d7. Of course, this is now lost for me. Man, I'm missing some stuff these days. Alright, so now he wants to play c3. Can I maybe play, should I try, I think I'm going to try bishop e3. It's not obviously not a good, so now I can take his rook with check, which certainly helps my case. Alright, well, my position has just improved dramatically. We'll give him another check on e6. Yeah, so somehow I managed to escape here. Now I have either bishop h6 just mates with queen f6. And bishop d4 is actually just mate in one, almost, right? So I can play bishop d4. Well, that was not the best played game by both players. Alright, I have time for, I think, just one more, and then that will be it, because first of all, I gotta eat something. I don't think I've eaten, have I eaten anything today? I've been up for like 10 hours, I haven't eaten anything. Rainbow Warrior here. Alright, g3. I've been facing a lot of these g3s. I'm going to play e5 and knight c6. I'll play with, maybe I'll play with h5. The aggressive way. Here we go. So he played knight c3, which I was playing h5 against almost any, so... Alright, so he plays h4. I'll play bishop c5. d3. Alright, I'll play, let's see. I'll play d6. e4. I'll play a6 just so that my bishop can escape if he attacks it. And so if I play knight f6, the pin on g5 is pretty annoying. So I may actually play knight h6 to develop it without getting pinned. And then I'll probably play bishop e6, queen d7. I think this is probably equal. I don't think my adventurous opening has worked out too badly. I'd like to play something like bishop e6, queen d7, and try to attack on the king side somehow. Maybe at some point f5. Alright, so he goes there. I think I'll play bishop e6. He might try to play something like c3 and d4. Oh no, he goes with knight c3. I'm a little bit surprised by that plan, although there's nothing really wrong with it. I just wasn't expecting it. And then maybe f5 is my next move finally. Okay, well not of course not on bishop e3. So on bishop e3, I guess I'll play knight d4. It's probably gonna get messy this game at some point. So if he goes knight e2, I was probably gonna play knight g4. But I could also maybe take on d5 first. And yeah, keep in mind, guys, two things before, since this Banter Blitz is going to finish soon. If you're not a premium member and you're listening to my stream here, this is a great time to become a premium member. Use the code Candidates2020, which is on the screen. And that is a really big discount offered only during this tournament. By being a premium member, you have access to people like me, but also Magnus Carlsen. We have Alireza Firouzja tomorrow that you could challenge as a premium member. So you may want to consider becoming a premium member so that you can challenge the best players, in Banter Blitz. And what else was I going to tell you guys? Also, I would love for you all to tune in to my daily after show, which is a recap of today's games. There's a lot to talk about today. In particular, of course, the game between Fabiano and Ding Liren, which was really, really interesting. So we're going to go through that today. And maybe I'll start with c6 here. Start with c6 because I want to be able to kind of chase that knight around. And okay, so he takes there. Interesting. I had sort of ignored that possibility. Maybe I'll take on d5. A little bit more original. He takes on c5, takes. Who knows? It gets a little complicated. So, so my after show is going to be in just 1 hour from right now, which means at 3 o'clock in the Eastern United States, 7 o'clock in London, 8 o'clock in the Central European time zone, and so on. So tune in for that. And then just after that, we will have the workshop with Joel Benjamin today. I think he's going through some of his favorite endgames, which should be really interesting also. So we really got a lot going on this week, which is a lot of fun. So, all right, maybe. So should I take on d5, take on d4? How should I take on d4? It's probably just kind of an equal position no matter what I do. But how do I keep the position most interesting? I don't actually love what I did because now I shouldn't have taken the move c6 was just a bit of a dud. I think I'll actually sacrifice a pawn just to keep the game fun because all these other positions are just sort of boring and not interesting. So this is definitely not a good pawn sacrifice, but for Blitz, just keep it more interesting. So now I'd like to win my pawn back, but I have ideas like knight f5, knight d4. So if he castles, knight f5 is interesting. F3, knight e3, is good for me, I think, or at least is not bad for me. So it gets a little complicated now, which was sort of my goal. Queen d2, pretty good move, I think. I may just play f6. Again, definitely a dubious sacrifice by me here. I'll just recycle this knight, bring it to d6. My friend the Magnet is in the chat, which is cool. I've known the Magnet for a long time. He has a Banter Blitz today, actually. Also, I think that's just after Joel Benjamin's workshop. So I highly recommend that you tune in for that. I've known the Magnet for longer than I've known almost anyone in the chess world. I've known him since I was probably 6 years old. Sorry, I missed you in the chat, the Magnet. I apologize if you said stuff that I ignored. I apologize. This is not an example of how to play, by the way. I'm sacrificing pawns. I'm playing dubious lines. I think I'm actually surviving here. I don't know about this move, castles queenside. I'm happy to get some play on the b file. All right, so now I can finally attack. I have a target. So he wants to, I guess, stick his knight on a4. I'll probably castle first, get my so that both of my rooks can come into the game, and then I'll probably play rook b8 and start piling on the b file. I think the b file is the file I gotta go for here. Okay, so he goes g4 for some counterplay. I think I'll just ignore him and go bishop h7. All right, so he goes bishop h3. Let's play rook b8 like I said before. He's going to go, I'm sure, g5. And then I'll play probably just queen b7. And I think, okay, you can take this way too. I'll go here. Now it just gets messy, but that's kind of what I wanted from the beginning. Okay, so I take on c4. What is going on here? Rook g7. Okay, well now I assumed I could take here. I don't think this is going to be mate. All right. G7 is covered. A lot of stuff is actually covered, so I think I can just take on b3 because the knight is attacked if he goes queen h6. All right. Well, if he wants to trade queens, that's no problem since I'm up. But you know what? I don't actually want to trade queens. I'll just play here. Rook b2. Again, thanks everybody for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. And I will be back. Like I said, I need to eat a little bit before I do my after show. So thanks a lot, guys. Speak to you in just a little bit. Don't forget, sign up to be a premium member if you're not. There's hardly ever a better time. All right, thanks, guys.